Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that talks about players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. Kicking off today with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Yes, we spoke a little bit about him yesterday. Jan Fjortoff, who's a journalist and ex-player, specialises in German football, said yesterday that reports in Germany are that Arsene Wenger absolutely loves Aubameyang and would love to bring him to Arsenal. However, his club Borussia Dortmund said he's not for sale. We're being told today, story in the Metro, I think it is, saying that Arsenal are willing to make a huge offer of £32 million for Aubameyang. That seems a really massive fee, but as I was saying yesterday, if you want to get these sort of players that are very, sort of solidified at their club, you're going to have to go big in order to try and dislodge them. Aubameyang, still fairly young, 26 years of age. That's kind of the perfect age to get a footballer, because he should be sort of hitting his straps. He should be mature enough. And I've seen this guy play. I remember when we were up against them last year. I remember being over in Dortmund and watching this guy. He is lightning quick. I can see the attraction by Arsene Wenger, and plus as well had a very, very good goal-scoring record last year. But we're being told that Arsenal about to make a huge offer for him. Again, I'm always very sceptical with stories that I'm reading in the Metro, because they do tend to just put two and two together. Fjortoff came out and said what he said yesterday. Arsenal definitely interested in this guy. They may put a huge offer in, but we're going to have to wait and see on this one. But interest in Aubameyang today. Another very interesting development is on Alexander Lacazette. As we know, there's been a lot of talk of Lacazette signing for Arsenal, and lots of links again today for Lacazette. Now, the very interesting one, is that the Lyon president has actually came out yesterday and seems to have set a price for Lacazette. What he said, these are his quotes from the Lyon president, who we know is always very hard to deal with. He said, of course, if a 50 million to 60 million euro, which is in pounds is say 35 million to 42 million pound. He said, if a 50 million to 60 million euro bid was tabled, I will no doubt have to prepare for his exit and wish him good luck. He did, however, go on to say that he thinks that Lacazette is happy and would stay. But that is suggesting right there that if the offer's big enough, if that offer was, say, £35 million, he's going to be prepared to sell Alexander Lacazette. The question is Lacazette and Aubameyang, really, are both of those players worth that sort of money? Are they worth £30 million plus? Because if their club are setting fees of like 35, all right, you're going to have to maybe hovering around at 30. Are those guys worth that sort of money? You know what? They probably are. You know why? Because there's not a lot of many good top strikers around at the moment. And if you're going to try and get a really good striker and he's fairly young and he's hot, you're going to have to pay £30 million plus. That's what I think. So, a couple of years ago, probably not. They probably weren't worth that. Aubameyang a year ago is probably worth about 15 million or, maybe 20. But now he probably is worth 30 plus. Same with Lacazette. After the season he had, he's worth a premium now, because if you want a top class striker, you're going to have to pay big money to get him. So Lacazette, they're available. 35 million plus. Will Arsenal move for him? That is always the question. One player that it looks that will not be moving to Arsenal, looks like he's going to be on his way out of Juventus, but to Real Madrid. Not Real Madrid, to Bayern Munich. There was a lot of talk of him going to Real Madrid. There's a lot of talk of him going to Arsenal. Arturo Vidal looks set for a move to Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich looking to replace Bastian Schweinsteiger, and we're being told that they've offered 28 million. Juve holding out for over 30 million. Of course, he's 28 years of age. A lot of money for a 28-year-old, but he is a top quality player. I always had my doubts on these links. If you watch Transfer Daily, you will know that I've been saying all along, where does Arturo Vidal fit into the Arsenal team? Because if you bring him in, what happens to Aaron Ramsey? What happens to Jack Wilshere? Guys like that. Already we saw in the press yesterday, it's a bit mischievous by the press, but they're suggesting that Jack Wilshere is going to hold talks with the manager because, you know, he wants to know where he's going to be playing in the team. Arsene Wenger's made suggestions that he could play him out wide. He could play. We saw last year, even to accommodate Ramsey being played out wide. We've got so many players in that area. We did not need Arturo Vidal. As good a player as he was, we did not need Vidal. And I always had my doubts on that. But looks now that he could be on his way to Bayern Munich. So that's another, I know there's going to be a lot of fans out there saying, another target gone. So, but I really don't think we were ever in the runnings to get Vidal. Maybe we made an inquiry, but I don't think we really wanted to get Vidal. We've been told today, Italian player, young player, Alessio Romagnoli, plays for Roma. We've been told that Arsenal are battling it out with AC Milan to try and sign this guy. He's a centre-back. Spoke about him a couple of days ago. That rumour's still strong out there. We've been told that Arsenal are prepared to bid and that Roma would rather sell him to us than sell him to Milan. But we're going to have to wait and see, of course, just like we do with every deal, what happens with that one. But Romagnoli being linked with a move to Arsenal again today. And check this out. David Ospina. Don't feel sorry for him, mate. He's got loads of clubs after him. We're being told today Real Madrid interested in Ospina. Of course, now they've sold their goalkeeper, Iker Casillas, the legend. He's gone to Porto. They need to replace him. They're looking at Ospina. Check out the clubs chasing Ospina at the moment. Real Madrid, Valencia, Marseille, Fenerbahce and Everton. All of those clubs chasing David Ospina. For some of those people I heard last season saying that he's rubbish, the clubs that are chasing him just tells you all you need to know. The guy is not a rubbish keeper. He's a very, very good keeper. Nowhere near as good as Cech. And that's why we've got Cech, and I agree with the Cech signing. But Ospina is a top keeper. And you can see there from the sort of clubs that are chasing him, and I'll just be happy to see him get a good move, because I've always said all along that he's very unlucky to be in the position he's in at the moment. But it looks like, don't worry about him. He'll still be okay. And a deal should be completed today for Yaya Sanogo. Sanogo should be on his way to Ajax. They're taking him on a season-long loan. He'll get there to train under Dennis Bergkamp. That can only improve his game, being involved in that Ajax setup. Remember, this picture here I'm looking at, I remember that was from the Emirates Cup last season when he scored that hat-trick. You know, it was looking at the start of the season that, you know, yeah, this guy, that's a good display. Maybe he might have something to offer. And then again, more injuries. Such an injury-prone player. It's almost taken over from Diaby in the injury stakes. So he just never gets going. If he can go to Ajax and get a season under his belt, who knows what, you know. You know, the thing we forget about Sanogo, and I remember I was chatting to a French journalist one time, and he was saying to me that Yaya, it used to be they looked on with the French youth team, the two hottest prospects out of that French youth team, this is what these French journalists were telling me, was Yaya Sanogo and Paul Pogba. Those two were looked upon as the two players that are going to be superstars. And one's gone on to be a superstar for definite. The other one in Sanogo, his career is really stuttering at the moment, and mainly down to injury. We've not really been able to see what he can do. When he does get to play, he's obviously trying too hard. He starts to look clumsy. He starts to make mistakes, and you think, oh, it's rubbish. But I think there is a player in there, and hopefully that can be brought out at Ajax. And finally, let's give some props to a young striker who did really well yesterday. Chuba Akpom, playing over there in Singapore, scored a hat-trick in that game. It's interesting. I did an interview yesterday with Lethal Bizzle, the big recording artist. If you get a chance, watch that. Go and check that out on ArsenalFanTV.com. He was saying, listen, he's really pleased for Chuba, great performance. However, does that mean now that Arsene Wenger will then turn around and say, well, actually, we don't need another striker. We got Chuba, Akpom, and we know Wenger, we know what he's like. And then actually, when you think about it, listen, how did Harry Kane get his break? He got his break just like that. So Chuba Akpom, really, really pleased to see him score. This guy is a very, very good player. I'm telling you. Maybe if he gets his chance, maybe he can show what he could do. I just know Arsenal fans, we want a big name right about now. But Wenger showing a lot of faith yesterday, saying that Akpom will be in the squad for next season and won't be going out on loan. So read into that what you wish. But will it just be Akpom and no signings coming in? We'll have to wait and see. Let's get into some of your comments from yesterday. This one comes from Alexis Sanchez. He says, Robbie, please read. He said, everyone just calm down, right? He goes, all I'm hearing is Wenger out. Wenger is out of touch. We'll finish fourth. People are acting like deadline day is tomorrow, he said. There's still over a month to go, excuse me, in the transfer window. It's because Schweinsteiger and Schneidlin both signed for Manchester United simultaneously, and we are feeling a little bit jealous. Patience, people, he says. And he said, and Robbie, I just wanted to comment on what you said about being ruthless. Manchester United were desperate for a new midfield, and that's why they went all out for two great players, because they needed them. We don't need a new midfield. We just need backup for Coquelin. City were desperate for Sterling, someone who could play on the right and is homegrown. We need a striker, but who out there is world-class and available? Benzema? A lot of things need to be in place first before we can move for him, and patience is needed. One position that I thought we were desperate in was goalkeeping position, and look what we've got. So I plead with all Arsenal fans, reserve your judgment until after deadline day. That's a very good tweet. He's probably right on nearly everything he said, but patience is not about now. We want to see a big signing come in, and that's what, you know, even me, right? Listen, I'm trying to be patient, but it's so hard. It's funny because when I was at this event yesterday with Lethal Bizzle, was at JD Sports down there in Oxford Street, and we were doing the filming, and I was chatting to, I'm not going to say the name of this person, but I was chatting to somebody, and they were telling me that they're very, very friendly with a football agent, and quite a big football agent, and that this football agent, it's not the one that's been quoted before out there in the press, but this football agent said, listen, Arsenal are going to make a big, big deal this summer. It's going to happen in August, and there's a big player coming in, and it's the Arsenal fans are really going to be happy with. But, you know, he couldn't tell me who the player was. Now he's got me all excited, but I'm thinking, you know, I've heard this all summer. I want to see something. I want to see somebody coming in, but, you know, it is very frustrating. But that guy's probably right. A lot of it's down to our frustrations because we've seen Manchester United go out there and make those signs. And he's right. They need it. We don't need a whole lot. So I suppose we do need to be selective with the business that we're going to do. And if we rush out there and go and say, right, we're going to get Lacazette right now, we're going all in, and then Benzema became available, then we'd be like, well, why didn't we hold on? You know, we could have held on. So it's really, really hard. It's a real juggle, but let's wait and see what happens. Bams says, hey, what about Edison Cavani? I think he would go we should go for him. He's not happy at PSG, and I believe he will be more than happy to play at Arsenal. I'm sure he would, but as I said before, I'm not 100% sure if Cavani is still that ever all-conquering force he was when he played at Napoli. Nafi Boy 96 said, I would rather have Owen out of retirement than Pedro. Again, another player that was linked with Arsenal that we just do not need. We do not need Pedro. And Harry Warwick says, Robbie, I agree with you on saying that Manchester City are more aggressive with their signings. However, this, in my opinion, is all down to their money. Well, we're being told that Arsenal have got a lot of money, so it's a balancing act. They can go all aggressive and right out there now and say, right, Aubameyang, we want him, or Lacazette, we want him. You guys are talking about 35 million. Here it is on the table. We want the player. Or what they seem to be doing at the moment is playing a waiting game to see just who becomes available so they can then swoop. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. Thanks for watching today's Arsenal Fan TV, AFTV Transfer Daily. Don't forget, check out our video at the moment that's out there with Lethal Bizzle talking about the brand new Arsenal kit. Make sure you go and check that one out. And also talking about transfers. He's brilliant. And later on today, brilliant video coming out with Alex Scott, the women's player who plays for Arsenal ladies in England. She's got a medal with her from the recent Ladies World Cup, and she chats a lot of sense, she does. And she also tells us who she thinks we should go out there and buy, and you'd be very, very surprised by the striker that she suggests. So make sure you check that out later on. Thanks for watching AFTV Transfer Daily. We'll be back around about the same time tomorrow.